Justin Watson here, latest, newest company, which I'm very proud of. I'm proud to everything that it's doing for the communities is Blqk coffee. Also, I have a transportation company called Matt Black Luxury Transportation and Studio Physique Athletic Club.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, you guys are in for a treat. I have Justin Watson, who's going to tell us all about black coffee. You know, we love to hear that. This coffee is coming straight from Africa. He also has other businesses we'll talk about. You guys might recognize him of being part of, the greatest show on turf. But we have Justin. What's going on, brother? How are you doing today?
I'm well, brother. How are you doing today?
It's a blessed day by the best. So I'm just happy, and I'm happy to hear and talk black, especially in this coffee game. I've done the research, so this is not going to be like your other interviews. I'm all up in your business with it, so we can out there inspire people. But I want to know, I know Marshall Faulk inspired you and put you on coffee, and that you guys have a bond, the San Diego State bond, the Super Bowl bond, but coffee to Africa. Did you go to Ethiopia to go grab this coffee and pick out the beans yourself?
Not yet, because we just launched during this pandemic, and flying out there is it's been a little bit of an issue, obviously, with this last year. But as soon as we can get off the ground, we're out there in Ethiopia, supporting those people on the farmland as well.
Okay, and have you been to Africa at all yet?
Not yet. Looking forward to that first trip. I know I've heard great things about Africa, obviously, Ethiopia, all the places that we want to explore. But yeah, I'm excited to get out there.
You guys in Ethiopia, salam amasa ganalo for your hospitality. But when this brother comes, we got to give him that royal treatment, because this is something that once he hits big and they write about him in Forbes, everybody's going to say, Justin, how did you do it? I want to talk about that a little bit later, but let's talk about building legacies for our queens and kings. It is black focused, black featured. You're doing it yourself. You're more than a football player. How did you lay this out? Did you just say one night, I'm just going to start, concept mapping, writing stuff down? Or did you get a team of people and say, give me the best in coffee and let me build my own brand and my own team?
This started with, I was in a bunker in a backyard barbecue with Kevin Garnett, actually. And we were talking about the social justice issues, and especially what happened out there in Minnesota with the guys getting kicked out of the Starbucks. And he just said to me, we should own our own coffee company. And that night I went to bed. I didn't realize the date because we were just hanging out in the backyard. But it was actually, I was tossing and turning as I was dreaming that night and thinking about coffee. And it was the morning of Juneteenth. So I woke up that morning and I picked up the phone and I called, seven guys, and I said, hey, let's meet at this boardroom and let's discuss the ideation of coffee, of a brand of Blqk. So we really call it Blqk, which is, like you just mentioned, building legacies for our queens and kings. And I thought that this is the perfect vessel to build some legacies for our queens and kings. Not only that, but show homage to our past queens and kings, and our future queens and kings, and our present queens and kings, because we have those in our community. So it's something that we're looking for. We want to move the needle forward in marginalized communities, and just start to help. So we're pouring 25% of our profits into these communities, into social justice initiatives, education, food justice. We feel you might as well, if people drink coffee every single day, you might as well pour with a purpose.
That's real talk. And so, you came together as a team to get a strategy together. As far as ownership, though, I mean, you could be, the spokesperson, but was it a collective that you and some of your friends, got together and said, hey, I'm going to put up 25, or a band of man, as Tory Lanez would say, and everyone just kind of put their money together? Or did you go the maybe traditional route to many to say, I'm going to go get some VCs or angel investors elsewhere?
No, so I didn't actually, and that was always part of the deal. So when we first got to the table, we talked about, hey, we're going to fund this ourselves. We're not going to go get outside investors just yet until we really need to go down that path. And then when it came time for the capital call, it was like, okay, let's put your money up. We got to get this thing going. The money wasn't coming in from all different angles. So you know what? I said, you know what? I'm in regardless. And I took a guy named Richie. He said he was in, and the two of us really put our money in the basket. We said, you know what? We're launching this. We're going forward. We're doing it the right way. We're going to make sure we get the best coffee. We're going to go super high end. So when you go to the website, if you haven't already, you see it's right and it's tight. Like we're not going to skim coat it. We're just going to go. We're going hard. So my whole thing was, when I sat on with this group, I said, I'm willing to go in and do anything, but everyone has to be 10 toes in. So if you're 10 toes in, we're going to make it work. So, team evolved and shifted. So now we have, like I said, my partner and I that's involved with me. And then we brought a surrounding people that we just, we pay to help push the brand forward. But yeah, it was, it's been an evolving piece that we're proud of.
Now, we're not the Federales, so we're not going to say names of, who flaked, right? But it's very important. Right. It's very important for us to talk about this, because you always hear people say, well, why doesn't Oprah, or why doesn't Michael Jordan? And folks don't know what people do with their money just because they haven't, hired a publicist like myself, or a consultant like myself to go tell everybody, because we'll tell everybody when you pay us, right? But we have like 1,696 NFL players, and 68% of them are Black. So we have like 1,153 Black football players that if they all came together and put their minimum wage of $610,000, and most, together, and most of them make an average of probably like 860,000, it would be a lot of problems solved in hoods, in neighborhoods, folks, not just hoods, because some of them come from great neighborhoods, that neighborhoods would change. Why do you think we can't get that?
I think it starts. Honestly, I think it stems from when we're growing up, man, and that trust factor, and it's just like this. Instead of thinking team, TEAM, together, everyone accomplishes more. It's I got to protect mine. It's a me thing instead of a we thing. We got to get over the hurdle of not supporting one another. Like, we talk about it, but we don't, you got to be about it too. You can't just talk about it. You got to be about it. So it takes platforms and people to step out there on their own, and conversations like this that need to be had, so people hear it and say, you know what, it starts with trust. And then it moves on to faith. Like you gotta believe that you can make a difference. So we gotta break. It's almost like breaking the curse of these. I don't know what it is. This negative energy that surrounds our people and tries to hold us down and not support one another, group up with one another, put your heads together with one another, and make things happen. To your point, the power of togetherness. And if guys started putting a little fun together, the Black fun together, to do bigger things, I mean, our dollars are, they're very important, right? Like, we know it. If we don't spend money, like, we're the consumers out there. But instead of taking some of that and not buying the
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 Bentley truck.
Valentino bag and the Bentley truck and this and the other. And we just take a little portion and say, man, how can we grow together? We can accomplish a lot of things, man.
And so I want to maybe put a hypothesis out there, because I know, friends who have gone to the league, and it seems like the more money you make, the more sometimes out of touch, especially athletes, can get. And I have a theory, and you don't have to agree, but after they draft you and they bring you to that room, I think they take the Men in Black and scan you over the eyes. And I think some people can, resist and say, hey, I'm not being scammed. Because, when they tell you after you get your contract, everybody's going to try to take your money, which is kind of partially true. But you got to remember your mama put you there. Your daddy might have helped you too. So everyone is going to try to get your money. But that doesn't mean that they're the enemy. It means you have to have financial literacy. Coming from a Jamaican background, though, where that's why you have 3 businesses and work multiple jobs. It's that Jamaican blood. Remember Heyman from A Living Color? That's you. So do you think that background and having to build that fence with your dad instead of having the traditional American upkeep is why you're different?
Yeah. So my mother, she kind of, they instilled some values in me. Jamaicans, we always have all these sayings and things like that. She, so I think that not feeling like, as she would say early on when I was growing up, she said, don't have a slave mentality. She said, you got to realize that you can go out there and hang your own shingles and you can accomplish anything you want to in life. She's like, don't come, because I came home talking one day, when I was 12 years old, a white man hold me down, and she looked at me, she said, what did you say? I don't ever want to hear those words come out of your mouth. So she looked at me like I was nuts, like I was crazy. She's like, no. You can go out there and do anything you want to do. There's no excuses. So she broke me down early. So it helped, in my journey through life, because I always felt like there was nothing that I couldn't do, nothing that I couldn't accomplish, and I didn't have any excuses. So once you get rid of the excuses and you just say, hey, you know what, you can build your own, that's why I'm trying to help build legacy for Queens and Kings, and teach people that you can build your own legacies. You can build financial wealth, like you can do these things, like the I can is huge.
And it doesn't take an NFL paycheck to do, because some folks will look at you and try to discredit your accomplishments to say, well, that happens when you can get X amount of dollars, and they know exactly how much you made, right? Because they go Google it now. And your career, it was like what, 3-4 seasons. So you could have blew all that money. I don't care what it is. So to be able to build, it shows that you are a businessman first. Can you talk about, in building these businesses, we see, Black owners, but then, and you're getting your stuff straight from Africa, but we don't always see in Black businesses, successful ones, being able to hire Black. And that's a big thing, because owners are like, here I am, but your employees look like, the United States, which is cool, but you might not even have a Black person on the roster. Can you talk about, is that important to you? And then I'm going to play devil's advocate after you say that, what you say.
All right, I'm going to tell you how important it was. So we built out the beautiful website, right? And we hired a firm, an agency to build out this website. One of the questions we asked was, do you have any Black employees? The answer was no. The question then was, are you willing to bring somebody on? As we were searching for the different people to hire for our web design, the answer was yes. She hired a Black employee to help with our project and brought her onto her team. So what do? We put someone Black from the foundation of our company. We wanted to move the needle. So in order for you for someone to service us from a web design, you got to hire someone of color. Well, can you do that for us, please? So that's how you move the needle forward. You make the person that, while you're building your brand, you make the companies that you're going to use, that you have to use, hire somebody. You look to see that they have Black employees. So to answer your question, yes, it was very important, and that's the way we want to structure doing things.
Okay, and now I'm going to reverse it, or not reverse it, but I'm going to come from a different angle, because I know there are people who will go to Black Coffee and they'll say, who's the head of this? And they'll see, 2 white women that you have on the site. And my thing is, I know how hard it is to hire. So at some point, like, we have to say, we got to hire the best people that we know, and we only know who we know, and they have to show up for the job. So how do you then, it's difficult being a Black man in America, because you want to hire your own, but then a lot of times you try that and people are going to disappoint you, right? And you get some of the best people possible so you can grow like Bezos and the rest of them. So then how do you, on that tightrope? Because as soon as you do that, I'm sure Black folk, hey, Justin, that looks like they're not Black, but you never know who their daddy is, who their son may be. So talk about that, because you got to, play both sides sometimes.
You do. And it's interesting. So like I said, the things you can do is make sure that if you do hire someone that's non-Black, that you're asking them to hire someone and teach someone a trade that more Blacks need to have. Like, if you go out and you search for a web designer that's Black, I mean, who knows what you're going to get, so you have to kind of, you gotta go with the best if you want the best product. And then what you can do is you can ask for that firm or that company to bring on somebody Black. Hopefully they do. If they can't, you really got to search. So we're doing a photo shoot. So now we got a Black photographer that's lined up to help us do stuff. So at the end of the day, you're not going to be perfect with always being able to find, a Black firm or whatever you need for it to be Black. But you damn sure got to put you got to try. You got to seek out and do your due diligence and figure it out and get the best you possibly can to help, push that needle forward. Because at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do through the brand is help the Black communities.
Definitely. And if anyone is out there listening saying, well, where do I start? Start by emailing me at kc@cprfirm.com. We'll help you with that. Even have Black staffing agencies or staffing agencies that focus on getting some great Black talent, especially from those HBCUs that I went to and my wife went to, Grambling State University, the Harvard of the South. So after that commercial, people, let's get into, you've had a lot of success. And with your success, you have to give back. And I know it's probably already in you. It's been ingrained in you by your parents. But what is a community give back that you were doing or that you want to do in the future?
So we want to actually start our own nonprofit. The end game for us is, I shouldn't say the end game, but the beginning is really for us to establish our own nonprofit organization. So we can basically take, and we call it the Black Angel Program, because we want that Black Angel to be able to take that kid. I'm really about our youth and our kids and that education, and we want to make sure that they're getting that educational justice as well. I noticed there's a big difference in, I went to a public school system in Pasadena versus the community that one of my businesses in San Marino, and the quality of education is night and day. It's night and day. And these are 2 public school systems. So why is that? So what we want to do is we want to push education in our communities. We want to start right here in LA, right here where I grew up, and serve some of these kids that need to get a little more, they need that educational justice. They need to be starting from the same place as other kids. So I'm noticing like the difference in just structure. So we're partnering with organizations locally, the Big Brother Crusade, other organizations out here that we want to help show kids the right way, give them a little more structure. I think that's the most important, and be able to kind of, mentor, so mentorship programs. I want to see a girl on the street that can't afford to go to whatever trait she's trying to do. And I just want to put the money in her pocket and send her through school. So, and that's what that Black Angel program is about. It's about really just looking for kids that we can help, individual kids that we can just point out and say, you know what, you need it. I'm looking in your eyes. You deserve this. You deserve your chance. You deserve opportunity. If it comes down to not being able to pay for it, let us pay for it. So, it's really about finding those opportunities for us.
Now that's beautiful. And I'm even thinking about some LA partners to really put this out there because with Blqk Coffee and Map, Black, you have an opportunity. You are an influencer, but also to connect with other influencers who are, everybody's an influencer now. Get 1 million views. You're now making, $5 to 10 grand a month on these different platforms, which is changing the game. Is Blqk Coffee going to be using other influencers? And if so, I represent some. So I want to know, what are those requirements for those I don't represent so they can hear and they can flood your email and say, hey, I fit those requirements. I want to, support Blqk Coffee. Can I buy shares in it? Give us the game on that.
Yeah. You know what? I'm like, come on in. I'm so open. I'm honestly like, man, you could, if you send out a message to me on our Instagram or a direct message, I will respond personally. I'm looking at these messages one after one to say, hey, if I can help somebody in any direction, if you want to invest, when we open up those gates, come on in. The water is warm. If you want to help and be an influencer, if I need to I'll send you coffee, and you want to open up the box for us, and you want to help push this needle forward, like, let's do it together. So the world, I would tell whoever that is, the world is your oyster when you're coming over to Blqk, and you got a question or you want to get involved somehow. It's like the world is definitely your oyster. Open up. Like, it doesn't have to be black and white. It's colorful. Come on in.
Yes, and from what I hear, I haven't ordered yet due to sometimes you get these things, folks, from the publicist, and you're like, yeah, I'll jump right on that. But I definitely, my wife drinks coffee every time I'm in Africa or we go together. I'm getting her coffee to bring back. With coffee, there's such a, I know you have some different blends, but it's that coffee from Africa is like no other. What made you, most Black Americans will say, and you being Jamaican descent will say, let me go to Blue Mountain, our next door to Blue Mountain. What made you skip Blue Mountain and say, okay, Africa?
Well, one thing, I thought when we talked about paying homage to our queens and kings, we need to pay homage to Ethiopia coffee, because that is the origin. That is the birthplace of coffee. So I wanted to start at the root. And I wanted to start with Black-owned women farms. So all those things just line up. If I'm starting this brand Blqk, I got to start it with the place of origin. I got to start with the birthplace of coffee. And I got to start it with the Black-owned farms in Africa. And in these Black-owned farms, when I think about the fact that they're not really getting fair wages, that they're getting paid nothing, if I can go help those farms and have farmland and help, whether it's buy a tractor or build a well or whatever it may be, those are the things that we want to do. So we want to start from the source of where coffee was originated, and then come to, back to America and get back to our community. So it was really just a no-brainer. Now, eventually, yeah, I plan on sourcing coffee out of Jamaica. I want to take some flights and I want to get a videographer out there with me. So I'm going up to Blue Mountain, and you're filming us at, on those farmlands and things like that as we start to source our beans. But right now it had to come out of Africa. That was that was a must. And it's great beans and great coffee as well. It's the best.
And if they go to your website, they can subscribe, or they can, purchase a bag and try it out. Can you buy, and are you guys shipping worldwide? Or are there any, limitations on where you can buy?
So we're shipping in the U.S. now. Right now we're shipping in the U.S. They can go on. The best thing is to go on to blqk.coffee and subscribe. Even for your listeners, we got to put out a little promo code so they can get a discount on their first bag when they subscribe to our coffee. So, before this show ends, let's make sure that I write it down so I can put it in the in the system so everyone knows the code. So we're figuring it out together. We can just map that out and say this is what it's going to be, and make sure that your listeners get that coffee and try it. And one thing that I will say about our coffee that I'm proud of is that we source from the top 1% of the beans. Our coffee is not over roasted. So to me, like you have that Starbucks coffee, I call that corporate coffee. They over roasted coffee, so it's bitter, and people have to figure out how to make it palatable. So they add all these additives with the creams and the sugars, and you're damaging the insides. Our coffee, I guarantee, if you finish one of our bags, you drink it straight black, you will not go back. You don't need your creams and sugars. It's roasted fresh. It's freshly roasted to order. So you order your coffee. We're roasting on Tuesdays. We're shipping it out to you on Wednesday or Thursday, and you're getting your coffee within 3-4 days of it being roasted. And that's an important fact. I don't think that most people have actually experienced fresh roasted coffee. They go to the store, coffee's been sitting on the shelves for who knows how long. That's not fresh coffee. It's like that's like spoiled coffee to us. We want you to consume your coffee within the first 2 weeks, for you to have that experience of what fresh coffee really tastes like.
Most Americans haven't experienced fresh anything. Even if they get, any of the fruit from the grocery store, you taste the fruit from Jamaica, from Cameroon, where we like to be. You're going to taste it tastes like candy, the pineapples, it's a different vibe. It's a different feel. You're in a different dimension, like you're in the Twilight Zone. So you guys are getting the game. You guys are getting the game. And there's some stuff that I want to tell Justin off air that I don't want to share with y'all just yet. So we're going to take this off air. Justin, I thank you for coming on, and be blessed, y'all.